Good morning, everybody. Your turn to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Spence.
Good morning.
Good morning. And is that Mike there? Do I see Mike?
He's there.
Can't hear him, can we?
Nick just showed up.
And Nick is here, too. What do you know? Nick, you're crazy.
Why?
You should sleep some.
Sleep is overrated.
Sleep is overrated. It's a fact.
Hello.
Hello, Mike. Our number, 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is made possible by Vmix Software, Telestream Wirecast Software, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Good morning, everybody. This week was kind of pretty slow.
Are you getting paid to do the show today, or are we shut down?
No, we're not shutting down. We're going. You know, I was.
Where's my paycheck? Am I going to get paid after the show then?
You're going to get paid as. I mean, actually, I'm going to double pay this week.
Well, wow, that's incredible.
It's real-time payment now. As the show goes on, the money is put into your bank account. It's pennies at a time.
Interesting. I'm sure that'll be great when I look at my statement and try to do my counting.
That's right. Yeah, you'll have 2 million transactions.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. But as far as tech stuff, things are pretty slow. And yesterday I was sitting around and looking at all the list of CPUs and this and that that are affected by Meltdown and Inspectre. And I'm getting the feeling that the processor that I'm using on my machine in the office is not affected because Intel is not listing it. It's a Xeon E5450. They're going from the 30 some up to the 55. So I'm trying to find out. But then there is a utility that Gibson Research put out.
Oh boy.
It's called Inspectre. So if you Inspectre as in Inspect RE. So it's inspectre.exe. So if you go to Gibson Research /inspector.html, something like that, it's a little bitty utility. You run it. It tells you if you are affected or not, and it has 2 buttons at the bottom that you can protect yourself. It's supposed to switch something, and there's a whole explanation on the page. And Steve Gibson is good at that stuff.
He doesn't have a tab on his.
He does.
No,
there is a tab. It's under services. It's under security, freeware security.
Oh, got it. Okay.
The link's in the chat for anybody else.
So I think when I ran it, it said that both of them, that my computer has the problem with both of them. But it also has to do with the operating system. So I don't know what is what and where, but I couldn't. If you see that one of the buttons is grayed out, it means it cannot control your CPU.
So, looking at this, I thought
Yeah, somebody's calling. Let's see. Good morning.
Good morning, this is Gene.
Hey, Gene.
Hey, before you get started on a whole bunch of things, a lot more people come in. I thought I'd ask Nick a quick question about the
Well, Gene,
Midland
how are you?
radio, weather radio.
Yep.
I'm getting the warning and the watch and the advisory lights blinking constantly, and I've read the instructions and I've done things, but I can't turn it off. Except, is it possible that maybe I've got a reception problem because every once in a while I get a beep?
yes. So you're getting a chirp and those lights are on because your unit has not received a weekly test in, I think it's 7 days or 14 days. And that is the standby. I think that's what it does when it doesn't receive a test. Now it may necessarily not be your problem. I would check with the National Weather Service. The transmitter that you normally use, or excuse me, the tower that you're normally pulling from could be down for maintenance, which is happens every once in a while.
Well, that's
so-
very interesting because in my area, I don't know if it has anything to do with it or not, but my Sirius XM, when I go out on the road right down from where I live, I lose the signal for a little bit of a while, and then it comes back on, and it's never done that before. And as far as reception for the radio goes, for the Midland, I've had it here for like 3 years, and I never had a reception problem. So you might be right. It might be that problem.
Are you in the Raleigh area?
Yeah.
I will. I'll do a quick search and I'll see if any of their radios are currently down.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot,
Yeah,
guys.
so-
I'll be listening in. Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care, Gene.
Let's see.
So I just ran the utility, and of course I have AMD, so I wasn't subject to meltdown.
AMD is subject.
No, but I'm sorry, but I am not. I've got the patch. I don't have the patch for Spectre yet,
Okay.
but I've got everything else. The registry's been changed so that Windows is protecting it.
Yeah, mine's the same. So does yours say no, yes, good?
Yes.
Okay, as does mine.
Part of
Looking
the
at
No Yes Good Club.
yeah, well, that's great.
Amnon, you're not. Sorry.
You're the no.
Yeah, mine says yes, and I cannot do anything with the buttons.
Well,
Then-
yes means that you're
Vulnerable.
vulnerable.
Yes, I understand.
Why would, but you just said your system wasn't affected.
You see, that's what I'm wondering if it has something else
You
to
need to
do
do a Windows update.
with Windows itself, because Intel does not list that processor.
That unfortunately doesn't mean anything.
Well,
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah.
You need to read the explanation below because it talks about things I don't understand. Mine is no, yes. It says this system's Intel processor does not provide high performance protection from meltdown. The use of meltdown protection on this system will incur some corresponding performance penalty.
Yep.
And then it says the system's older Intel processor does not provide, it looks like the same thing. Older Intel processor does not provide use of, Windows is therefore doing the best job it can to protect the system, though with a possible significant performance penalty.
Mm-hmm.
You may wish to considering disabling the system's meltdown protection until it is offered at lower system performance cost. Due to the potential performance impact of these vulnerability protections, which may be particularly burdensome on older hardware and operating systems that cannot be updated, either one or both of these protections may be disabled with Windows registry settings. This system's protection disable is currently set as follows. The system, this is my system, obviously. The system's registry is configured to enable both of the Spectre and Meltdown protections. Within the bounds of any limitations described above, Windows will work with these systems' processor to prevent the exploitation of these vulnerabilities. Then it says guidelines and observations. Unfortunately, this system will be open to exploitation of the Spectre vulnerability until and unless its BIOS and CPU microcode firmware are updated. You should contact systems vendor and work to obtain an updated BIOS for this system, which will bring updated firmware along as part of the process. If future solutions to the Spectre vulnerability are found, this Inspectre utility will be updated to reflect them.
Yeah. So essentially, what's going on is, so you've done a Windows update. So yours says no, yes, good as well, Mike?
Mine does, yeah.
Okay, so Meltdown is the Windows patch that protects you from the vulnerability. At the base level, your CPU is still vulnerable, but Windows has put the stopgap in so that nothing, at least at this point, can trigger the meltdown. So if you were to put an old OS on it that didn't have that update, you'd still be vulnerable. But they haven't put out firmware patches, so I don't know what.
Mine doesn't say no, yes, good. It says no, yes, slower.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's. I think this is, if you have a CPU that is not fast enough, they're saying that by protecting the operating system,
yeah,
and it doesn't have enough power to give you usability of the computer in a good way, because it's taking a lot more. If you have an i7 oodles of gigahertz, then you don't feel it much.
Okay, I have an i7 with oodles of gigahertz, and it says slower. I've got an i7.
Oh,
how old is it?
Okay, I understood that it's
several years old, but it's a quad core i7.
Interesting.
Well,
you could always disable the protection.
Yeah,
well, but that's my question. What is Meltdown? What is Spectre? What are the symptoms of a system that is infected or attacked under either one?
So, Meltdown is okay. So Spectre is the baseline issue that is on the chip. The issue that that all memory can be read or something like that through some vulnerability. Meltdown is that's what they're calling it when your system gets hit. Windows has put a stopgap in place so that code cannot execute and trigger a Spectre or Spectre, whatever. But your CPU is still vulnerable if you weren't running Windows. I believe that's how this is.
So how do I know if I get hit with either one?
Your system will stop working. I mean,
okay. Well, that ain't exactly the end of the world.
Well, after this week's snow, we could use a little meltdown, right?
Yeah. I haven't seen anybody talk about getting hit with either of these yet.
Remember, you have to run an application on the local machine that will actually be doing something.
It's a virus, essentially.
It's not. It's just like getting a virus and saying, "Okay, yeah, go ahead and do it." So it's not likely to happen. But I was just, I mean, it was interesting to see that CPU was not listed. That's all. I mean,
I would do your Windows updates, Amnon, so that you get that.
Oh, I did.
Huh.
Yeah, I did I don't know why it's not.
Well, looking at the bottom of this list, Major Geeks. No, it's the same one. Never mind.
But
you have to run the utility as administrator, which I did to disable Meltdown. The strange thing, I guess it's still says vulnerable no, but then it's got these warnings down at the bottom. I don't think you can just go by what it says in that top of the screen.
No, the warnings I think are for all of them.
The 64-bit version of Windows has been updated for full awareness of both Spectre and Meltdown vulnerabilities. If the system's hardware has also been updated, the system will not be vulnerable. Well, it's not. Mine's not updated because they haven't released a new BIOS, as far as I know. I'm getting ready to check.
Which Windows?
Yeah.
I'm Windows 7.
Yeah, I don't know why mine. Oh, unless I know why, because they may not be able to do anything with the Xeon. Because I mean, they're doing the operating system, but it also has to do with the processor.
Right.
But anyway.
So mine has not been updated.
Oh, well.
I wouldn't be surprised if nobody's gets updated.
Well, you know what, though? This is an interesting point. I think that this would be, if we remember to check it, it would be good to see which manufacturers go back and take care of their customers who have 2, 3, 4-year-old computers.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a curiosity.
Let's see.
I mean, in reading yesterday about all this, and there were a lot of people that were asking. I mean, the question that, and I was going to ask you today, people asking, can Intel be sued for that? Can they?
Probably not. Question is, did they know, or should they have known? The question is, if they didn't know, if they prove they didn't know, if they should have known, it's on whose standard? How are you going to establish that they should have known?
Mm-hmm.
How do they know 5 years out that someone's going to find a back door?
Yeah. People are saying, why didn't they test all these things? I mean, you know, hindsight.
I bet you they knew about it for years.
But anyway, that's anybody can run that utility. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable protecting or enabling or disabling, don't. But you can just run it in order to see if you are protected. So Nick put the link in the chat. GRC.
Well, here's my takeaway from this.
All right.
If you enable, it seems logical, if you enable protection in the BIOS, Windows is going to try to protect the operating system from the vulnerability. Windows is going to operate as a condom for the processor.
Yeah.
And the problem is that Windows is going to spend a lot of time and effort to do it, and it may cause downgrading of the performance of your system.
Right. And that was the worry in in the beginning. And Intel ran some tests apparently, and Microsoft ran some, and they say it's not as bad as we originally thought. But obviously here yours is saying slower.
This is awful Apple-esque. Oh, you need to go buy a new processor. These are vulnerable now.
Well, they're saying that even the latest ones are.
Yeah, this would be a terrible decision for them to.
It's not only that, but what is it? NVIDIA? NVIDIA has become the latest chip maker to release software patches for the Spectre microchip security threat, indicating that the chipset flaw was affecting graphic processors as well as CPUs. So that's interesting. It's not just on those Intel CPUs, and you know, and people in the beginning say, "Oh, AMD, I'm fine." Well, no.
Remember
It's
a number
a
of
mess.
years ago when they found out that some of the original programming from the very first version of Windows still existed in, I guess it was when Windows 7 came out. And Steve Gibson led the charge to try to get all that stuff removed and patched. It was old code that just kept getting brought forward with every new release. And when Windows 7 was touted as the most secure operating system yet, he went in and tested it and said, nope, you didn't fix any of these old problems. And I bet this stuff goes way back to just the original concepts of the architecture. They've just always been there. Nobody thought it was a problem or had an exposure. Somebody finds it, and now they just don't really know what to do.
Well, I wouldn't, and the reason I say I wouldn't be surprised if they've known about this for years is they could have found this 5 years ago and they were still screwed.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. So why bring it out? Why make a big? You know it's there, and the problem is, do you wait till somebody else finds it, or do you bring it out yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, this spans back like 15 years on processors. So, I mean, what are you going to do?
We're going to have a big party where everybody brings their machines out to the street, and they'll drive bulldozers and cement rollers out there, and everybody will crush all their machines.
Yeah. Now the good thing is if you're running a recent version of Windows, you'll get the Windows patch, and you should be secure. You should be. Who knows?
I don't see a difference here as far as performance. I
don't
monitor, and I don't
either.
I don't see any difference. But I'm running 8 cores, so.
No. Anyway.
So did anybody catch the statement by Apple or by Tim Cook about young people are far too involved with devices?
Yeah, isn't that incredible?
Isn't that something? I'm thinking, well, how big a hit is the stock going to take? And this guy actually has the brass to come out and say what is true. Very
Spencer, turn your mic volume down just a hair.
Who?
You.
Well, I was a little close to the mic.
No, just you were last week too, so just bump it down just a tiny bit.
Yeah, I can't believe the shareholders or the board of whatever was quite happy with his comments last. I just can't imagine they'd be happy with those comments.
No.
Well, I'm sure that everyone who is obsessed with their phones is going to hear that and stop using them.
Oh, people are turning them in now. They're saying, "Yep, that's it. He said it. We can't do it anymore."
You can bring it to the recent Apple Store, Mike. They'll just throw it in a disposal for you.
Oof.
My App Store is my favorite place to go. Go there every day.
Weird.
I drive up to Raleigh 2 hours just to hang out in the Apple Store and drive back. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I believe that.
Nick, why don't you just have them have them let you install a virtual camera there so you can always be there?
Oh, that's a great idea. Just
Yeah.
like a high resolution.
You can have a picture of your face there and say, "This is Nick."
Stand in line with a bunch of other people.
Yep.
For 45 minutes to buy a phone. Be great.
An overpriced phone.
Well, speaking of Apple, they are bringing back a whole bunch of money to the U.S.
Yes, a whole bunch of money.
$300 million or something. Is it million or billion? I don't
billion.
B with a billion.
And if they do it now, they get a one-time repatriation discount. Basically, it's the new rate is 21%, but if they bring the money back now, they get it at 15%. So it's like that's why you see this flood of stuff coming back.
I don't understand. I thought liberals loved paying taxes.
Oh, they do.
I'm sorry. They love for us to pay taxes.
That's right.
I got it. Sorry.
They love to wag their finger at us and say, you should, I love it when you see the rallies in the street when these useful idiots are out there saying, raise my taxes, raise my taxes. It's like, somebody hired you to come and protest. You have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah. Also, they added a provision at the IRS to allow you to pay additional taxes, and no one used it.
Yep.
So it'd be interesting to see now
about when Rosie O'Donnell was having her meltdown over the tax plan. It was amazing to watch her Twitter stuff. It was just a joy to watch her just completely explode. But my comment back to her was, okay, we're going to have this new thing. It's called, if you like your old tax plan, you can keep your old tax plan. Just send the money in. Don't worry about it. You don't feel guilty. Just be no more virtue signaling. Just actually do something about it. But
It'd be interesting to see if any other tech companies follow suit now that Apple's kind of led the charge on it.
did you see the news about Amazon cut their list down to 20 sites for their second headquarters?
I did, yes.
And we're on the list. Raleigh's on the list.
I hope not. I hope that we don't get it.
Oh my God. As much as I'd love to see it here, I don't want it either.
They need to put it down in Goldsboro.
Yeah. But it's amazing the stuff the hoops that people are jumping through. I was recently downtown and was learning information about the warehouse district and what's happening with the new Union Station, the new Amtrak station that's going to open. And they are pouring money into this site. Did we talk about this already? I don't remember if we talked about this last week. They spent $32 million in public money to renovate this old warehouse and turn it into the Amtrak station. And guess how many people use the train every day? 400. 400 people come through the train station.
You can see that in Cary. Just go to Cary. You can sit in one of the nice, luxurious benches that the town of Cary has purchased downtown, or go sit in the lobby of the hotel that the town of Cary owns on Academy Street, or even stand in front of the theater competing with private enterprise that the town of Cary owns on Chatham Street, and watch the buses go by. And as you watch them go by, count how many people are on them.
Yep.
And then explain to me the logic of expanding the bus service so that those 3 people riding the bus can get there sooner.
I'm sorry, the town of Cary owns a hotel?
Yes.
I can't say I've heard that one.
Don't all towns have hotels?
No, I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh.
Huh.
I'm waiting for the Apex Hotel to open.
Interesting. I've never heard of that before. I didn't know towns and municipalities own stuff like that.
They're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, how the hell do they get away with that?
Well, who's going to tell them no? Other than the voters. The voters keep putting these clowns back in.
That's crazy.
The other issue is here, as an ex-Northerner, New Yorker, I've lived here long enough that I consider myself to be a local now.
You're still
that's
tainted.
right or wrong, I don't know. But we've got people moving in now, and we just voted a bunch of people onto the Apex board who are from the Northeast and have their own idea of development, and we are going crazy with development now. The stuff that we're okaying, and the properties, I just found out about a friend who owns a horse farm who just sold it to be developed. And it's absolutely incredible. We are just running. We're going to be Atlanta inside the Beltway. Well, we already are in a lot of respects.
What's interesting, and I don't understand, is if you want to see, well, you people whine a lot. You don't know how we did it up north. I don't give a damn how you did it up north. But you get on US 1, get on the Beltline south, headed away from Cary towards Sanford at 5:30 in the afternoon on Monday through Friday, and pay attention to what happens when you get to the Highway 55 exit. Turn left or right, go either way on 55 and see what you're up against with regard to the town of Apex. Unbelievable. Avoid it at all costs. It's as bad as Atlanta at certain times of the day in that one little intersection. So what are our politicians doing to fix it?
Our development was where one of the original sections of the Apex Peakway was built. Literally, it was at one time, it was 50 yards long, and it was one of the exits from our development, but you could only turn one direction because it didn't continue. Since it's been opened now, there's so much traffic there in the morning that you can't get out of your own neighborhood. And you have to wait for the traffic light to change upstream on either end in order to even be able to turn. It's incredible.
You know, we were looking at a house down that way a year and a half ago. And my wife, who's listening, saw it. Oh, yeah, what about this house? No, look at this traffic. Oh, we can go the back way. I said, nope, not happening. Yeah, John's right. They're going to fix the problem with light rail.
Are they doing a gondola here? They tried doing it in New York across the river.
They've been talking about light rail for years.
We don't have a river.
The new
Oh,
Union Station, they're saying all these platitudes about what it's going to be like. Oh, we're going to move the bus terminal over there too. That'll be part of it. And eventually we'll get light rail. And it's like, yeah.
So the other the 20 locations are Atlanta, Austin, Texas, Boston, Chicago, Columbus, Ohio, Dallas, Denver, Indianapolis, LA, Miami, Montgomery County, Maryland, Nashville, Tennessee, Newark, New Jersey, New York City. I don't know what they're thinking with that. Northern Virginia, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Raleigh, Toronto, and Washington.
If they go to any of those big urban centers, all their employees will be on food stamps.
All of those are bigger. The only one that's not big isn't a big urban is Northern Virginia, which I don't know what that means.
DC.
Yeah,
I guess. Or Montgomery County, Maryland. Other than that, all of those other places are quote unquote metropolitan cities.
They need to go into a blue area because they'll attract all these high-paid liberals to come in, and then they'll turn the place into another New York City. So that's what they need to do.
They realistically should go to Columbus, Pittsburgh, or Philadelphia, up in that Rust Belt area.
Yeah. I don't know where the cutoff is for this statistic, but they're saying now that cities that were being essentially renovated, like New York City, when Manhattan became too expensive, everybody moved to Brooklyn Heights. And then when Brooklyn Heights became too expensive, they moved to other parts of Brooklyn, and they've all been upscale renovated. They said the problem is they're still so expensive. Millennials are saying, forget it, I'm out of here. And they're not staying unless they have to have these incredible jobs just to afford to live in the city.
Well,
$3,000 a month for a studio.
And that's not
even in Manhattan.
Well, exactly. And that's just not even the city. I mean, that's New York State as a whole. And it's the same thing with California, New York and California. People are leaving those states in droves, moving to Raleigh, moving to Cary, moving right next door to you.
And getting spots on the board in Apex, unfortunately.
Mike, I'm gonna run in your district.
You're gonna do what?
I'm gonna run for your town board. I'll be a great
I'll vote for you.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
You'd fit in with all the rest of the morons up there.
You can run, Nick. I know your campaign sign. I saw it in Washington, D.C. I was driving through there one time, and a new city councilman had a sign. His whole campaign was, "This town owes you." Big sign. This town owes you. That was it. And he got elected.
It makes sense with a slogan like that.
Yep.
How about this one? A chicken in every pot.
Yep. Hoover? No. Was it Hoover?
I don't remember. John will remember. He knows everything.
Yeah. And 2 cars in every garage.
Roosevelt or somebody.
So 20 new locations. We shall see.
Going back,
256 gigabyte iPhones in every pocket.
Yeah.
That'd be a dream. I'd vote for that.
Going back to Meltdown, Inspectre, and Windows updates, Microsoft also announced that you will not be getting the patch or any subsequent Windows updates unless your antivirus is compatible with these patches. And they're saying that Microsoft has added a new, very important detail describing incompatibilities between antivirus products and the recent Windows Meltdown and Spectre patches. According to an update added this week, Microsoft said that Windows users will not receive the January 2018 Patch Tuesday security updates or any subsequent Patch Tuesday security updates unless the antivirus program they are using becomes compatible with the Windows Meltdown and Spectre patches. The way antivirus programs become compatible is by updating the product and then adding a special registry key to the Windows registry. The presence of this registry key tells the Windows OS that the AV product is compatible and will trigger the Windows updates that installs the Meltdown and Spectre patches that address critical flaws in design of modern CPUs. Avast is there. Defender is there. And I can't remember. I mean, I was looking at the list because I saw, I'm using Avast. So it was there. But you can just go ahead and Google and find a list of the antivirus. And I doubt there are any of them today that are not compatible, unless you're not updating it. And we know a lot of people are not updating their antivirus. I've seen antivirus 2 years old and say, "Well, it's running." Yeah,
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's running, and you every time you start the machine up, you click through the warning that says
Right.
you have not been updated.
Exactly.
I will give Windows credit. I like what they've done with Windows 10, that it's built in and ready to go by default.
With
You don't have
Defender.
to yeah, with Defender.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why secure. Well, in Windows 7 did it eventually become the
Windows
default, or do
7,
you still have to install?
Windows 7, Defender is installed in Windows 7. You have to go and disable it if you want to enable another.
But it used to be called something else. So it used to be called Security
Essentials.
Yeah.
It was called Defender in XP, and then it went to Security Essentials, and I think then became Defender again.
Interesting. But I like how in Windows 10 you don't really need, when I say you don't need antivirus, you don't need third-party antivirus.
Yep.
It's just
Supposedly.
runs by default. Yeah, I've never had any. I don't know. I don't get viruses, but
you were not supposed to get any viruses from day one with Security Essentials, and then found out, it wasn't as good as the other one. So
yeah.
But so make sure that your antivirus is on a list, and that that may be stopping you from getting the updates. Now here's something that we all use, and that's interesting. One of the biggest potential security vulnerabilities, public Wi-Fi, may soon get its fix. From a report says that Wi-Fi Alliance, an industry body made up of device makers including Apple, Microsoft, and Qualcomm, announced its next generation wireless network security standard, WPA3. The standard will replace WPA2, a near 2 decades old security protocol that's built in to protect almost every wireless device today, including phones, laptops, and the Internet of Things. And we know that WPA2 was broken, hacked and all that. So that'll be nice to have something new. And maybe they learn something from their mistakes in the back. But it's something that we all have to worry about, security on public Wi-Fi and even on your local Wi-Fi.
Absolutely.
Did anybody see the story about how GPU prices have just gone crazy? GPU, yeah. It says GPU prices skyrocket, breaking the entire do-it-yourself PC market, and it's due to cryptocurrency mining.
Yep, that's a fact.
Oh.
And so it's a supply and demand issue, but what is it about a GPU that it assists in cryptocurrency mining?
So the GPU does, I don't remember what the number is, but the way the GPU processes how many teraflops it has, blows the CPU out of the water like 20 or 30 to 1. It's not even close.
Apparently, a fast CPU doesn't do anything. It's a fast GPU that you need.
Yeah.
So because it's a more specialized piece of hardware that can use it.
You think about it. You're playing a video game at 150 frames a second, to all of the processing that has to be done on board compared to a CPU.
Right.
It's just a better processor for what that does for it's a calculation. When you're mining Bitcoin, you're just solving complex calculations. It's much faster for that.
So display cards that used to go for the $100 level are selling for $300 to $400.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But if you read more into it, you'll find out that Hannah wanted to play with this when I got those servers, and I said, "Hey, you can have one and do it." Then we're at, and okay, so you need a fast GPU. I mean, a real fast GPU. And even with the real fast GPU, it's going to take you months to get into anything. And they are saying that the power that you're using is it's not even worth doing.
Well,
Who's
in the
doing
US,
it?
it's not.
Huh?
In the US, it's not.
Yeah.
In China, where the
Now,
power costs are
right.
practically nothing, that's where they're mining all the
Now,
Bitcoin.
in China, and you can get on eBay and buy these machines. They're building machines just for mining. And those are not, I mean, they're not like PCs. They are specially designed, and they're like $2,000 and $3,000. And these can mine some stuff. So don't go and take your old machine and put a $1,000 GPU card, I mean video card in it, and expect to become a millionaire. It's not going to work. It's not like that. It's not like what it used to be.
Apparently, one of the most popular places to have a setup is in Iceland because they have so much geothermal power. Their cost of power is very low, so it's a popular place. They have wind power and geothermal power.
Yeah. It's wherever power is cheap.
Whatever floats your boat.
Whatever floats your boat. Okay, now, cyber threat intelligence firm Checkpoint on Friday disclosed the existence of malicious code buried inside dozens of apps that displays pornographic images to users. Many of the apps are games reportedly geared toward young children. As a result, Google quickly removed the roughly 60 apps said to be affected from its Play Store. 60 apps got through. This is great filtering by Google, isn't it?
Well, what happens, and I would presume this is probably the same thing, is they submit the app to the store as
Right.
one thing, and then they change it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true.
I don't know if that's the case. I'm just saying that in the past, that's what's happened, is you submit the app as
There's one thing.
some game, and then once it's in the store and you have 100,000 installs, you change and add some
Code to it that makes it.
add something malicious.
Good point. I didn't think about that.
Something like that.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the case with this, but and of course they can't verify every update. I mean, it's updates would never get through to the store.
Well, and if you're using Lenovo switches, routers, Lenovo engineers have discovered a backdoor in the firmware of Rack Switch and Blade Center networking switches. The company released firmware updates last week. And the article went on to say that that happened when they bought some other smaller companies that were producing switches and incorporated their material into it. And apparently there were some backdoors. That's what they say.
Of course.
So that's Lenovo. If you have a Lenovo switch, you need to research it a little further to find out if yours is vulnerable. And I mean, those things mainly will be at the workplace. 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. What else, guys?
I don't think, as you said, this week was kind of slow.
Yeah, it has been. It was actually nice with all the snow and stuff that we had. Everything was real slow. Nothing depressing.
It was kind of a good time because it was decided not to do work around the house while we were home with the snow. got out and walked and just binge watched a Netflix series and just enjoyed
Huh?
doing nothing.
And the nice thing is, well, I mean, some people did lose power though. It wasn't there wasn't a widespread power interruptions. There weren't any. But someplace somebody crashed into a pole or whatever, and
Yeah, localized stuff.
yeah. Now,
Did you see that Texas had a record for electricity usage because of the cold weather?
well,
Fake news.
fake
Yeah.
news. Well, I mean, we got emails, and I'm sure others from Progress Energy is saying, please don't use, turn off things that you don't use, even if it's your phone charger or whatever. Those are little things.
So I was going to ask that. I got that same energy email from Duke, and I'd like to ask
Yeah.
Mike this. Mike, if I have a cell phone charger plugged into the wall with nothing,
Can you believe that?
that doesn't use any energy, does it?
No,
well,
there's
Yeah.
standby current. Yes, there is
Yeah.
something called sneak current.
How much? I mean, can you try? Can you
not
give
much.
me yeah?
I'm gonna
Do you
sh-
have an example? Like, how
I'm
much
going to
would it
show you. I'll be right back. I'm going to show you a device you can measure it with.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, okay.
the point is that if you have while he's going to get that kilowatt, if you have a charger plugged in, if your battery is discharged, it uses a certain amount of power. Once your phone is charged, it uses less power. If you disconnect the phone, it uses even less power. If you plug it in with nothing connected to it, it will have in there it will use a certain amount of power that it uses to keep the core of the transformer energized. If it has a transformer, or the new ones, which are switching transformers, it has a certain amount of quiescent operating current to keep the circuit alive so that when you plug it in, it works. So infinitesimally small. When I saw that on that letter, I showed it to my wife and just laughed at it. I mean, that's just so insane. That's like, everyone, we are going to have a lot of people with demanding use of the power grid. So please go unplug the night light out of your guest room.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Yeah, but I mean, Mike, I'm with you on this. But
Good.
if you have 500,000 charges,
Amnon,
it will make a little
if you
difference.
got 500,000 150 watt flood lamps,
Yeah.
which one should you focus on for saving energy?
The 150 watt power line.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's the point.
absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, this is the problem with some of these ridiculous arguments, in that we're going to ban lead in solder because we don't want all this residual lead, which comes out of the earth, back in the earth. When in fact, the amount of solder that is saved by eliminating all solder going forward is less than, I think, the amount in one landfill of lead acid car batteries.
Mm-hmm.
So you're disrupting your entire way of life for trivial improvements. I mean, think about it as this way. Think about it this way. If you run out of hard drive space on your C drive so that Windows starts crashing, you go into Windows Explorer. The first thing you do is sort by file size.
Right.
You start deleting the biggest files first that you don't need, because you need immediate impact.
Right.
That's exactly the way these other things should be. Should we take harmful chemicals and things out of the environment, the drinking water? Oh yeah, there are a lot more out there that haven't been identified yet. But do we need to kill flies with sledgehammers? Sledgehammers work very well to kill flies. They're very, very dead. But I would argue that there are better ways to do things.
It becomes a political club that people use to beat people with. It's a shame.
I mean, I would understand. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say,
Yes.
Nick, this is a very inexpensive device called a kilowatt.
Oh, I've seen those before. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great for measuring current from any device. You plug it in. It's a through device, so it can be used to monitor over time. It can show you the actual peak current used at that moment. It's a line monitor. It's all kinds of. It's like $25.
Spence, do you have a spare charge that you can plug into that with nothing on the end and see what?
Oh yeah, I can tell you what to. Sure, I'll do that right now.
I'm curious because here's the email that they sent. They sent this out Monday. They sent this out the 14th, so last Sunday. Turn off unnecessary lighting. Makes sense. Reduce the thermostat. Okay, I could understand that. Postpone activities that require electricity. I don't know what that.
Don't take a bath if you have to run the pump.
Your hot water heater. Unplug unused cell phone / tablet chargers. Operate ceiling fans in a clockwise direction, pushing warm air into the room. Okay, I can kind of see that. And then leave drapes or blinds open to allow sunlight in during the day and close them after dark to insulate. What does postpone activities that require electricity mean?
Okay, that
what do
would
they mean?
be washing machine.
That would be
dishwasher,
We'll tell you when you're 21.
Dry.
That would be anything. You know what they should have put in their email? We would like you to hibernate for the next 14 hours so that you don't make coffee, don't do anything that requires that electricity.
But let me say something about that. Look, every one of those in that email, everyone is valid. If you unplug the charger, it will save a certain amount of electricity. It will reduce demand on the nuclear power plant. But what happens is when you distract people with nonsense, they become desensitized to the issue, such that in the future you see this letter or email. Oh, are they going to ask me to unplug my nightlight again? And you don't read any of it. You just ignore it. It's called crying wolf.
Yeah. No, I mean, Nick, if you not doing laundry.
I get that.
If you don't have to.
No, I get it. It's absurd how they wrote it, though. I mean,
absolutely, it's absurd.
Stop
how they
almost anything that you need to do during your day requires electricity.
Absolutely,
I mean, really, it's absurd.
Yep.
We shouldn't have done the show last weekend because of that. No,
right.
See, stop computers 2K now. Government shut. Computers
We use
2K
electricity, absolutely, and we made other people use electricity.
No, it's running off solar.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We're good. Wind.
I guess Spence is doing the charger test.
Actually, I plugged in a 1 amp iPhone charger. Well, it says maximum 1 amp, 5 volts, 1 amp. 0.
No, perfect.
Nothing. Let me plug a device into it and see what happens.
It's not 0. It's below the detection level.
It's below. It's point. It's the scale is 0.00, and it's saying nothing.
Yeah, that's not true.
It has to use something.
But so that just proves Mike's point. It's so
unless Apple
Mike's
has
point is that if you add all this up, it doesn't amount to anything really. So
right.
That's crazy.
Anyway, I'm wondering if Apple has something in their chargers that say if there's nothing connected to the Lightning on the other side, just disconnect. But how does it know to reconnect? Makes no sense because it has to have power to be able to operate. So
look, these things include what are called RF bypass capacitors in them. These capacitors have a certain impedance at 60 hertz.
Mhm.
I am telling you that if you went in and took a pair of wire cutters and cut the semiconductors out of these things, they would still have at least a certain amount of power demand because these capacitors actually will put a load on the line when nothing else is connected. It's infinitesimally small.
Oh.
Fred says, what happens when snow covers solar panels?
Uh-oh. He's found our...
The world ends.
It's over.
Well, no. See, if the snow covers the solar panels, you just unplug your cell phone chargers. You're good to go.
All right, I just plugged an iPhone in. Unfortunately, it's 100% charged, but let me see what it says. 0.06.
Because it's fully charged, yeah.
Well, it's fully charged. So I have another uncharged device.
No, it's fine. I mean, so it gives you an indication, which is good. That's good enough, Spence. Yeah.
I appreciate that, Spence. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
That's
thanks, Duke.
very, very interesting. All right.
I made sure I actually plugged more things in. I plugged everything. I turned on all my lights and left for work. It was fantastic. Turned my heat to 82 degrees.
I used it when I was setting up my home office, and I wanted to know what was more cost efficient, by having a little heater under my desk and keep the temperature down upstairs, or by running the heat upstairs to keep me warm. Because it would get cold up here during the day. I had my clock set back thermostat, lower the temperature. So I plugged it in. I wanted to monitor the total usage I had for the day on using the little electric heater. And I came to the conclusion that it's probably cheaper to run my gas heat in the house and be more comfortable, not leave the room and get hit in the face with a 10-degree difference.
So my wife says, how did people with satellite dishes, as in DirecTV, watch TV during the snow? No question mark. I saw a post on Facebook about how they sent their daughter's boyfriend up on the roof to get some snow out of the dish. Well, for one thing, your dish shouldn't be on your roof. It should be out in your front yard beside the walkway, so you can just walk out there with a broom.
Yep.
So you know what? It is what it is. How do you watch TV if AT&T digs through your neighborhood and cuts your cable?
That was a big problem.
How do you watch TV when the power goes out?
Solar.
Doesn't help. Doesn't help. I mean, I've got a generator. My Time Warner will not work when power goes out.
Why not?
Because Time Warner goes down.
That's not always the case.
It always is the case here. Power goes out.
Well, that means your distribution amp is on the same leg of the power. On
No,
a lot of
no.
neighborhoods, they're not on the same leg.
Well, they used to have a battery backup at their box outside on the street. They don't anymore.
Right.
AT&T will continue to work, and they have a whole bunch of batteries at the bottom of the box.
Amnon, where is the shock mount for that microphone?
Where is it?
Yeah, the big one. That's not it.
What do you mean?
That's not the one I gave you with it.
We've got one down in the office here.
Oh, the big one. It was interfering, seeing the stuff. Yeah. Oh, it's
make sure that one doesn't scratch it.
Oh, it doesn't. I mean, it's got that plastic thing on the inside.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's fine. So no, it doesn't work with if there's no power. They don't care. They really don't care.
Here's your solution to your problem here. Bicycle power generator.
Well,
let me see if I can we got to get the picture back of this guy. There we go.
Oh my God.
Spence says something, Spence.
Why not?
That'll work.
They have all the call support people do that when the power goes out because they can't be answering your questions about why your bill went up $300 next month.
That'll work, especially when it's really freezing outside.
Yeah, it warms you up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ingenuity.
Anyway, Spence, are you ready for specials?
I can do it. I actually have it open.
All right. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Computers 2K Now specials for January 21st, 2018. And I want to point out something of moderate interest on the front page there. The weird looking computer you see there is actually a Russian or Eastern Bloc built analog computer there. So that is actually a real device. It looks like something out of a movie set.
We see three of them.
But,
which one?
Well, the one that looks like a console with a screen.
The one that looks like an alien.
The one on the bottom right side. That is actually an analog computer. Interesting. All right. So starting with laptops, Best Buy has a entry-level Asus 15.6-inch laptop, $249, $30 off. That is the newer Pentium N4200 quad core. I There was a 3700, I think, was the one before this, and they're actually pretty good performers for the price. Office Depot Office Max has a HP 17.3-inch laptop, Core i3 for $399. That's $200 off the regular price. And Staples has a Core i7 Dell laptop for $599, which is $200 off the regular price. Desktops, we've got at Best Buy, Lenovo Idea Center 720 Ryzen with 8 gig for $449. That's $150 off. Office Depot Office Max has a Dell Core i5 for $499, $180 off. And also a Dell Core i5 at Staples for $449, which is $130 off. Tablets. Best Buy has a Samsung Galaxy Tab A 8 gig entry level tablet for $129.99, $20 off. If you've been waiting to buy a Surface Pro, on sale at Office Depot Office Max for $799, which is $200 off with an i5. And Staples has iPad 9.7-inch 32 gig iPad for $299, which is $30 off. Woohoo! Big sale. Networking. Best Buy has something called the Linksys WRT32X AC 3200 dual band Wi-Fi gaming router, and it has something very interesting, and this is what caught my eye. It has something called Rivet Networks Killer Prioritization Engine, which is a way for you, if you control the router, and it specifically gives a scenario where here you are about to start a long-haul gaming session, and the other users on your network are either streaming video or doing something else. It says, take control of that router remotely. You don't even have to log into the router necessarily, and set up prioritization so that your gaming will always have high priority over everybody else. Nobody will be able to download at high speed, or you can throttle everything back. This is a feature that's been in commercial routers for a long time. But if you have the adapter card that has the killer prioritization controller in it, you can actually do it on the fly from your desktop, adjust the bandwidth as you're playing the game. So it's actually a pretty interesting setup. Now, this is a high-end router, $249.99, $50.
That's a very high-end.
Yeah. But if you're into gaming and you spend a lot of money on your environment, this is an important part of it. So especially, Amnon, if you put the plastic water bottles over the antennas. Yep. That'll work really fast. Okay, Office Depot Office Max has a TP-Link RE450 wireless range extender for $79. That's 10 off. And Staples has the Netgear AC 1750 dual band router for $109, which is $20 off the regular price. Best Buy has a SanDisk Ultra 1 terabyte solid state drive for $279, is $120 off the regular price. Office Depot has a Western Digital external MyBook 4 terabyte drive for $119.99. Geez, it's worth it just to take the drive out and put it into whatever you're building. $119.99 at 30 off. And Staples has Lexar 32 gig USB 3.0 thumb drive for $15.99, which is,
by the way, Spence.
Yes,
not
sir.
every internal drive, not every external drive has a removable hard drive with the
I realize that. Some of them, and they're special. They build them. They don't use standard SATA interfaces, so you can't move it from the drive to. Yeah, it's a special cost-reduced disk that has a special. Whether the controller is on the system board or on the drive itself, you cannot swap it. I took one apart to look at it, and that was very interesting. They're smart. They know what they're doing from a marketing perspective. But Lexar 32 gig USB 3.0 thumb drive for $15.99, 24 off at Staples. Accessories, we got the Logitech K400 Plus wireless keyboard that's got the glide pad built in. So this would be good for media centers, or if you're just a couch lizard. $24.99, say $15. Office Depot has an APC 650 VA battery backup UPS for $64.99. That's 10 off. And if you're looking for a new full-size wireless keyboard for your desktop or whatever your need is. You don't want to get the mid to upper level performance keyboard. You've got the Logitech MK550 full size wireless keyboard and mouse combo for $39, which is $20 off the regular price. Monitors, we've got an HP 23-inch monitor at Best Buy for $119, which is $60 off. Office Depot Office Max has a Dell 27-inch monitor for $169, save $110, and Staples has a 23-inch Acer for $99, which is $50 off the regular price. Printers and scanners, Brother has a new model out now. A little bit lower price point, but this is a replacing in the 2000 series printers. This is the L2370DW, D for duplex, W for wireless. $89.99, say $40. So they just keep getting better. I mean,
Unbelievable.
Very good functionality. And that's not to say, I know people with Canon, I know people with other laser printers, not necessarily HP, but laser is the way to go. And if you can go color laser, you can find the right machine for the right price. Okay. Office Depot Office Max has the Canon image class laser, all in one for $129.99, $70 off the regular price.
Is this just the printer?
Which one?
No, that Canon.
The Canon? No, it's a multifunction.
Yeah.
Printer, scanner, fax, copier, duplex, wireless. Yeah,
Yep,
$129. This is a light duty business class.
That's good.
Laser. And then the same printer is also on sale over at Staples, the new Brother 2370 for $89. Home automation and security. They've got a entry-level Wi-Fi smart plug from Insignia for $19.99. This is save $5, and I understand this is Alexa controlled. I think I read that. I should have put that in the, added a little text box there to say that, but I believe it is possible to control this from Alexa. Not sure how. There is the EasyViz wireless HD camera, 1080p for $119. That has Alexa control, and I thought that's pretty interesting. It does it's Wi-Fi, but it also does local recording. They also offer a cloud service, but it's not free. This is not from the regular ad, and that's why you see the yellow fill for the icon showing that it's from Office Depot Office Max. But I like the fact that it does Alexa control. If you have a series of cameras and you're on there, on your web page, you say, Alexa, show me the kitchen, and it will switch. And then finally, Staples has the Netgear Arlo home security system with 2 cameras. That includes the hub for $259, save $70. More expensive than what I want to spend. I'm not sure that there's features in there that I would really, besides the fact that it's they're portable, they're battery powered. You can't put them out there and use them anywhere. Not sure about outdoors. And finally, Fry's, unfortunately, their webpage was down today, so I switched over to Newegg, and I found some interesting things. Actually, I take it back. The mini plug that I thought was Alexa is actually on this page. It's not the Insignia one you see at Best Buy for $19. So we've got a Thermalake 600-watt power supply for $49. It's with an addition, it comes down to $29 after a $20 rebate. So if you're looking for a nice power supply, it's a great brand. That's a daily deal, so I think that's only good today. Boy, the names of some of these products are getting weirder and weirder. Geek Bez. You go on Amazon to look at you search under a product and you find all the crazy names that they come up with. But this is a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi voice control, remote control switch. And it says that it's controllable with Amazon, Google, which if it's Amazon, it's got to be Alexa. If it's Google, it's got to be Home. So $27.99, which is regular price is $23 or $33, so $6 off. And then If you're looking for a dash cam that's got a forward and rear view camera, now I believe the rear view camera is intended for, I can't tell by the what I see here, whether it's intended for the back of the car or just to record what's in the passenger compartment of the car. But this is a 1080p forward and 720 rear, dual HD, night vision, loop recording, 32 gig SD card for $74.95. That's more than half off. The regular price is $179. And finally, this is no, not actually not Seagate Constellation Enterprise Capacity 3.5-inch hard drive. This is a what was the size? 4 terabyte. I'm sorry, 4 terabyte for $134.99. That's 10 off the regular price. And then if you would like a bio bidet prestige electric bidet seat for your elongated toilet, it's only $449. It's 61% off. It's regularly $1,100. Damn on, there you go. That might be Alexa control too. It'd say, Alexa, wash my. And Alexa goes, oh, I can't do that.
Oh,
boy.
Oh, Spence.
Heated seat, heated air dryer, exclusive turbo wash. Oh. Oh boy.
Ow!
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
It's got a 2,500 PSI power washer built in there. All right.
So if you're looking for a gender modification, that might help a guy real quickly.
That's it. Yep. Permanently. All right. So that's it for Computers Taking Out specials for January 21st, 2018.
Thanks, Spence.
You're welcome.
Gender modification. All right. Nicholas, he's not here.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yes, I'm here.
You just bought an iPhone 8, right? Plus?
8 Plus. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Apple may opt to discontinue the current iPhone X entirely if sales are underwhelming.
Yep.
KGI expects a trio of iPhone models in the fall of 2018. He predicts the iPhone X will be end of life in the summer of 2018 instead of being retained as a lower cost option in the following year. If Ku's projection pans out, this would present a marked shift in Apple iPhone sales strategy, going back nearly a decade. Apple has always positioned older iPhones models around as a wallet-friendly alternative for users who weren't keen on paying a premium for Apple latest and greatest. iPhone 10, I mean, their sales are really, yeah, I know they were out of them, and they were out of them, and they were out of them, but they didn't have many to begin with. And there's always those, the Apple fanboys that will buy them. But this was not what they expected. And I think it mainly has to do with the price.
I'm not surprised.
I don't know, is this any what else was wrong with the 10 other than
It
the
doesn't
price?
it doesn't have the damn fingerprint scanner.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right. It had to use face. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's missing out on the I think one of the best things about the iPhone is it's how well it works with a fingerprint.
Yeah.
Using Touch ID. And it's gone.
So, and talking also about Apple, a new text bomb affecting Apple's iPhone and Mac computers has been discovered. Abram Musley, a software developer, tweeted about the flow, which typically causes an iPhone to crash and in some cases restart. So I'm glad there was no information about how to do it. I mean, the less people know, the better. But just be aware. Hopefully, Apple will fix that. Did they fix? I mean, last time it was a problem. They fixed it pretty quick, didn't they?
Yeah, a couple days.
Yeah. And still talking about Apple, Apple told employees that it is issuing a bonus of $2,500 of restricted stock units following the introduction of the new U.S. tax law. The iPhone maker will begin issuing grants to most employees worldwide in the coming months. And that's coming from Bloomberg. Apple also announced today, that was last week, that it would bring back most of its cash from overseas and spend $30 billion in the U.S. over the next 5 years. Yeah. Do you hear that on the news?
Spend it on what? Pizza?
It doesn't matter. I don't know. Do you
No,
hear?
I heard it on the news.
You did hear it on the
That's
news?
what you listen to.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
By the way, Spencer, you missed a good bargain over at Office Depot.
What?
They have a clearance tab on their website with a bunch of items. Some of them marked down pretty well. Here's one that's almost half price. If you need to actually go into an Apple store, they've got 100 pack of nitrile medium gloves on sale for $4.49. If you can use the medium size, which most people going into the Apple store are probably.
I buy the I forget the brand name, but they're black heavy duty nitrile for working. You can actually use them more than once. Viper, I think they're called. Just heavy duty.
Where do you get them?
Amazon. They sell them at Lowe's too for like $1 more. Boxes of 100. They're great. It protects your hands from all the vicious crap I have to touch.
Yeah. And speaking of Amazon, I mean, I really do try to buy locally when I can. I go pay a little more at Intrex, pay a little more when I have to at Best Buy, because there's something to be said for being able to run down the street and grab it off the shelf. So you better keep these guys in business to some extent. But where was it that I went? I went somewhere to buy something, and it just takes forever. It's just ridiculous. It wasn't the Apple store. It was after that. I didn't buy anything there. But Costco, go into Costco and try to get out in any time at all. It's ridiculous.
It's every time I go there. I shouldn't say every time. There have been times I've been there at the end of the day when it isn't bad. Oh, sorry about that. This is crazy. I went to a web page and now I got a stupid Geico ad running that I can't stop. There we go.
Well, speaking of Amazon, this is
price increase.
Yes, Amazon Prime price increase.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to find the article.
Luckily, for people that pay yearly, it's still $99. If you pay monthly, though, which I didn't even know was a thing, they are raising it from $10.99 to $12.99.
Yeah.
So $2 increase for that. Luckily, they're keeping. If they had jumped the annual price to that, which would be, what would that be, 150 some bucks? I'd absolutely cancel my membership.
Yeah, I'd be out.
Yeah. 99 is the level, but if they were to raise that to 100, what would be 150?
So Amazon is about to put Best Buy and Bed Bath & Beyond out of business. They're both hanging by a thread based on some things that I've heard. Amazon needs to be really careful where they're stepping right now, because it's at a ground zero for this retail versus online for at least these two merchants, based again on what I've heard. I do. It's a pain to have to get in the car and drive over there to pick the stuff up, with fight the traffic and all that. But again, it's nice to be able to look at it and say, well, you know what? This is bigger in person than it looked on the web page.
Has there been any news about Amazon when they were floating the idea of actually having stores?
Well,
they were talking about having small, like, pickup locations.
They got Whole Foods, and they've got 6 pickup points in Wake County now.
Yeah.
No, but they haven't started using it for other products yet. I know they're going to do that, but
what they have got in major cities is called Amazon Prime Now, and essentially it's like a big truck that drives around.
They have it in Raleigh.
Okay, they have it in Raleigh. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I want to check one of those out sometime. And you just go up and you can just buy certain things that they have in their car.
hey, Nick, you being from New York, you know what the term slow truck discount means, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, now you've got a legal slow truck discount.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, fantastic.
Was that the old white van thing?
Yeah. Your guy pulls up. Hey, buddy, you want to buy a TV?
I got a cable.
In the
Got an
back.
unlocked cable box in my trunk.
Yeah. It used to be when I worked in Manhattan. There were guys that I work with. Oh, like this guy on the street, he opened his trunk and there was a box with a new television. And I bought it and took it home and it was full of cinder blocks.
And if you go complain about it, you'll be full of cinder blocks.
Dummy.
That's funny.
Yep.
So yeah, price increase. If you pay for Amazon Prime monthly, would recommend you switch over. You'll save yourself $56 a year.
So that's probably the point of all this, is to get the subscription revenue instead of having it monthly.
Well,
That doesn't bother me.
But I disagree here, Spence, because I'm reading the next line of this article from Business Insider. Amazon introduced a monthly payment option in 2016, a move analysts viewed as a way to attract lower income shoppers. So you've only been able to pay monthly for 2 years, and now they're jacking up the price, which I find fascinating.
So the altruistic attempt to help low-income shoppers was
screwing
not true.
Shopper. Well, I wonder if they're just thinking they can milk another $2 out of people.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, they got them hooked, and now they found out they're more trouble than they're worth, so they're spinning them off.
Yeah. I would absolutely. I don't know about you, Mike or Spence or Amna. I would not spend $156 a year for Amazon Prime. I don't think it's
probably not.
Principle.
And it's not 2 days delivery anymore.
No, it's not. That's a fact.
Things. Yeah.
And also, they're screwing up some other things too. I think I mentioned, if you do a return, if you answer the wrong question, it's about $8 or $9 to return a $10 item.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you don't say it's broken.
Which I'm not going to do, but look,
anyway,
every business has to optimize its operation. I get that, but the quickest way to turn me off to your business is to do something to screw me and tell me it's for my benefit. That sounds like cable companies.
So a lot of us have Android phones,
and a lot of us don't.
I think you're the only one in here that has an Android phone.
The Electronic Frontier Foundation and mobile security company Lookout have uncovered a new malware espionage campaign infecting thousands of people in more than 20 countries. Hundreds of gigabytes of data has been stolen, primarily through mobile devices compromised by fake secure messaging clients. The Trojanized apps, including Signal and WhatsApp, function like a legitimate apps and send and receive messages normally. However, the fake app also allows the attacker to take photos, retrieve location information, capture audio, and more. It's called Dark Caracal, and that's what they call it. The EFF and Lookout call it. And they said that maybe a nation-state actor and appears to employ shared infrastructure. So read about it. And not only that, listen to this. Several types of phishing emails. I mean, you have to get an email, and this is part of those things that you have to install the app on your phone. It's not just going to get installed by itself. But look who they are directing those phishing campaigns at: military personnel, activists, journalists, and lawyers. So just be careful if you're using WhatsApp or Signal. Then make sure that you're using a legitimate one, and let your friends know. I mean, these I'm sure these are work also on iPhones, right?
Yeah. WhatsApp is just a regular messaging app. Signal is a encrypted private messaging app. They say private. You need to give somebody else your encrypted key to message them, I believe. WhatsApp is just a public messaging app like Skype or anything else.
So they're saying that people in the U.S., Canada, Germany, Lebanon, and France have been hit by this already hard.
It's the Russians.
So
Yeah, there you go.
just something to think about if you use it.
All right. So we have something new we're getting ready to start working on, and I don't know what it is. Nick can explain it to us. I don't know if the group will have any interest in it, but we like the Alexa here. We talk about it. I guess it's a development kit or a utility or something. What is Skill?
So Skill is like an app. If you use any feature that is not built into the, do you have the Alexa app on your phone?
No. Yeah.
Okay. You do?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So if you load up the Alexa app on your phone, there's a Skill, what is essentially a store. It's a whole bunch of apps per se. And now if you have any smart switches or anything, you have to, for example, if you buy a TP-Link smart switch to use with your Amazon Echo, you have to download the TP-Link Skill and link that to the smart switch. It's an add-on. It's a third party.
So it's basically an API.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So the
okay.
Skill is what they call their public-facing. It's their app store for
Actually, that's very clever because they've just enabled all kinds of people to add devices without going through the whole programming function.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
Essentially,
anybody that makes a smart device have had to develop a smart skill to link up with their smart device that they're selling, like that Insignia switch or easy whatever camera. Though they would have to have, I think, an Amazon Echo skill for it to be accessible, for it to be usable.
Oh my gosh. Somebody has written one called Jeopardy. When my son-in-law sees this, he's going to quit talking to his wife and just talk to Alexa all day.
Yeah, well, I've done the Jeopardy one. It's awesome. And it just asks you stupid, mindless questions. You just answer it. Yeah, it's great.
Oh my gosh.
Now most of them are quite primitive as it is.
Sure.
I mean, there's only so much it'll do. There's for example, Twit TV's got a skill that when you ask it for the news, it will read a little like 1 minute or 2 minute tech news flash that they aggregate. All of the major news networks have skills that you can add to do your. So if you ask Echo for a news brief, you could get a news brief from Fox or CNN or NPR, whoever you'd want to get that from.
I think a simple way to explain it is if it's not directly accessible by Alexa,
yep,
then you need a skill in order to say it's like somebody in the middle, man in the middle, to talk to the service and bring it into Alexa.
So it's like a Chrome extension.
Exactly. Perfect example.
All right. Now, the question, though, let's say this Jeopardy thing, does it have to be installed or is it immediately available?
You just if you have the app open, it should say add skill or something. What does it say?
Now, I'm looking at it. It says I went to all skills.
Yep. Click on Jeopardy and then click enable. Once you click enable, it's available on the device instantly.
I see.
I mean, there's a whole bunch. Most of these are, as most things with the Echo, they're gimmicks, like Jeopardy or anything like Trivia Pursuit. There's a lot of gimmicky stuff in here. It really just depends. I mean, I've looked at it before. There's a couple. I haven't looked in a while. But there was a couple cool like weather things that would give you a real in-depth, detailed weather report, which I find kind of interesting. So that's it. And if you search for it, there's a million different. I mean, you can search for about anything. And
so we're late to the party.
Who's late to the party?
The radio station.
I don't necessarily think so. Our station is available on the Echo.
All right. So in the radio station context, what would the skill enable us to do that we cannot do? Now, if you just say, Alexa, play WFBT.
It wouldn't do anything. It would just be the same thing.
Mike, you just
triggered
a bunch of Alexas everywhere.
Good. Our ratings just went up.
Yeah, I mean, now as of right now, and that's why you'll see a lot of radio stations don't have their own independent skills. because TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Radio.com are all partners with Amazon. So all of those stations are available through the device to start.
Mike, if you had audio being transmitted or available directly from the station, from your studio, Alexa wouldn't know how to go get it
Without a directory like TuneIn.
Right. So then you would need a
Oh, that
skill.
makes sense. That makes sense. So in essence, because that's why it's hard to find this show on TuneIn. This show would benefit from a skill.
It would absolutely benefit.
Well,
because
I mean,
TuneIn.
It's because it's not configured correctly on TuneIn for simple English. You have to go to say something else. I mean, if I set it up as Computers 2K Now, it would have worked. But in the very beginning, it was set up as Nissan Communications.
But then why can't I just say play Nissan Communications? It doesn't work. We have to say play TuneIn Nissan Communications.
So I think it was designed for radio stations. So I think it's better with call signs and frequencies than it is other things.
Probably.
But yes.
I don't know. But yeah, if it's TuneIn, then you don't need a skill.
In most cases, if the goal is just to listen to a stream, yes. Now, for additional things, it could be useful. But for just listening to audio from a TuneIn directory or an iHeartRadio or a Radio.com directory, at this point, from what I've read on their API, their SDK rather, that wouldn't add any initial benefit. Except
So can we use it to listen in on people?
No.
Well,
Amazon
need to get
can.
the Russian development kit.
I mean, Amazon is the one listening in, and they don't allow the SDK to have access to do that.
Oh.
Not unless they're prompt.
No, seriously though, what would the skill allow the radio station to do beyond allow instant access to the audio?
As of right now, I'm not entirely sure.
There must be some other things that it will do.
Well, we could have it do other things, but with anything else,
Wait a second, Nick. Mike, what would you like people on the outside to be able to do? Ask
I'll
this.
communicate to a mailbox, a voice mailbox.
oh, there you go. Then that's something you
See?
could. That's something you might be able to do.
In the skill, you can, I guess you can specify.
You know, I really love that guy who comes on at 7:05 Sunday nights. Does he sign autographs in public? And if they could communicate that through Alexa to the radio station, then we could probably set Nick up and let him charge for autographs.
Yeah,
I don't know that Alexa can actually send email. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work. But that's an example of something that would be would be the use of having a skill for just listening to audio.
Yeah, you need to think about what do you want to happen, and then figure out whether a skill can do it or not.
Yes and no. I mean, part of the what can it do has already been thought about by others, and if it's already been done and developed, all you have to do is to spend a few minutes or a few hours configuring it. That's better than writing an operating system from the ground up. Whenever we first got computers to control things in laboratories and shops, we didn't want to go out and start with a new operating system. We took Windows or DOS or whatever we had and figured out how to configure it to do what we wanted. That's standing on the shoulders of others.
No.
Yeah, I think the Echo's a really cool device, and there's a whole bunch of cool stuff you can do with it.
All right, and here is something that will affect all of us. The U.S. Supreme Court will consider freeing state and local governments to collect billions of dollars in sales taxes from online retailers, agreeing to revisit a 26-year-old ruling that has made much of the internet a tax-free zone. Heating coals from traditional retailers and dozens of states, the justices said they'll hear South Dakota's contention that the 92 ruling is obsolete in the e-commerce era and should be overturned. State and local governments could have collected up to $13 billion more in 2017 if they'd been allowed to require sales tax payments from online merchants and other remote sellers. according to a report from the Government Accountability Office. Congress's nonpartisan audit and research agency. Other estimates are even higher. All but 5 states impose sales taxes. This is easier said than done. For people that don't know how the sales tax work, if I sell something, I have to pay sales tax and fill a form to send to the state every month. Tells them how much I sold, and here is the taxes broken into state and county. When you're talking about Amazon or you're talking about eBay, a merchant over there is going to have to file with each and every state, is going to have an account in each and every state. And that is not that doesn't happen overnight. That takes years, if it will happen. With Amazon, it was a little bit easier because they already doing this for some time now. But it was easier because they can go to the state as a company and say, okay, here, if there's anybody from North Carolina, here's how much was sold. We are collecting the money. Now they want the retailer to collect that money. So they send the retailer a report every month of how much they sold in their own state or other states through Amazon. And the information is there, but there's still going to be some development to take all this and massage it, import it into script. Doesn't happen very quick. So the fact that the Supreme Court will look at it doesn't mean that it'll happen right away, but sooner or later it'll happen, and especially when there's more and more being done online versus in the store, you know that it's coming. And it'll cost us, I mean, on eBay today, I mean, on Amazon, and even on eBay. There is a lot of things that you would buy that tax will be added to it. Some of them don't have it, and I think that comes to whether or not the outfit that you're buying from has physical presence in the state you're buying it in. So there. Sales
The
tax.
reason you pay property taxes to support your local schools. You pay a gas tax to support your roads. What do I get by paying sales tax in New York?
You get to fund the wonderful state of New York
Um,
and all of the great things it has to offer to the world.
Be flushed, at least New York City.
Yeah, that, you know what, Mike? That's a good question. Where's sales tax going?
Well, that's
to?
the kind of question the Supreme Court has to ask in terms of multi-state, and that is that if you're taxing people in North Carolina for selling, and they may say that you can tax New Yorkers on buying out of state. You have to pay taxes on anything you buy out of state, but forcing North Carolina to pay sales tax, to pay New York State sales tax for a company that does not have a physical presence in New York State, that's going to be part of the argument or the question before the Supreme Court. And depending on how the court stacks up, there's no telling how it's going to unfold. I would not hold my breath. The solution is to get rid of these politicians. To them, taxes are opioid. The opioid crisis is nothing compared to the addiction that politicians have to money. So at some point we need to help them with their addiction.
Well, I mean, this is where I would think that flat tax, like that covers everything.
Don't you remember that even when the pro-flat tax people came out, the first proposal even had exemptions and exceptions? And so after 5 years, we'd go back to where we started. Alan had a question for you, Amnon. It said, at which level do you pay the tax? At the retailer or by an invoice by the government later?
No, at the retailer, me, I'm buying stuff at wholesale, so I don't pay the distributor sales tax. And when I sell it to you, I charge you tax. That tax money is not mine. It's the state's. So at the end of the month, you look and you see that you sold $1,000 and 7% of it is tax. You pay the state 7% of that $1,000, $70, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. You actually write them a check. Now, the report is broken into different
quarterly or monthly reports.
No. The lines are broken because there is so much for state, there's so much for county.
Right.
So, but you paying one check and they distribute the money.
His question, at which state, and Alan, so when Amnon makes a sale, he has to collect and remit sales tax for North Carolina.
Right.
That's why I was talking about the jurisdictional question.
Only if you live in North Carolina do I collect it from you.
No, that's not true. If somebody picks it up from you at your house,
right.
Even if they live in New York, you have to collect it.
Absolutely. If you
the standard is not where you live; it's where you, as a merchant, Amnon, deliver the goods.
Yeah, that's correct. If you
ship them by UPS to New York, there's no sales tax.
Right. Correct. And that's what they want to change.
Because now, even on Amazon, when Amazon was forced to pay sales tax in North Carolina, they still got around it. Because Amazon, a lot of the stuff they sell is actually sold by a third party, but shipped by Amazon, meaning that Amazon gets a service fee for stocking and shipping the good. Therefore, when that merchant from another state ships it to me, they don't charge sales tax.
The truth is that you, as the buyer in New York, I think by law, you have to declare it that you bought it on your taxes. And the way that they did it is, well, do you want to list it or you just want to pay? I think in North Carolina, it's $30 a year.
No, I think it's more than that.
I don't know.
I forget what the number is, but it seems to me that that from what I understood, I haven't paid any attention to it because when I have sales tax issues for business, I have to do what Amnon does. But my understanding is that in North Carolina, every person is deemed to have purchased $600 worth online during the year, and they're going to go ahead and adjust the tax table to accommodate for that.
Yeah, so you can opt to pay that, or you can say, I did not buy any. And then
there are a lot of people don't buy online.
Right.
There are a lot of people who won't put their credit card online, and don't blame them.
Right. So did that answer your question, Alan? And I saw that Fred was asking a question. I guess Spence answered. I was going to say the one that works for you. I'm using a KVM, and it's a great thing to have. So, what was that thing about Skype? Mike, you may be in. Microsoft and Open Whisper Systems, maker of the Signal app, surprised many when they said they are partnering to bring support for end-to-end, E2E, encrypted conversations to Skype. The new feature, called Skype Private Conversations, has been rolled out for initial tests with Skype Insider builds. Private Conversation will encrypt Skype audio calls and text messages. Images, audio, and video files sent via Skype's text messaging feature will also be encrypted. Microsoft will be using the Signal open source protocol to encrypt these communications. This is the same end-to-end encryption protocol used by Facebook for WhatsApp. Isn't it amazing that both these we're just talking about that they had a problem in Facebook Messenger and by Google for the Allo app. So Skype is going to be encrypted. You could have it encrypted. And something that happened last week, actually something that happened some time before, that Andrew solved for me last week. I don't know how many of you upgraded, updated, went to the next version of Skype when it said there's an update available. You want to install it now. And you saw something that you didn't know how to function in, or it lost a lot of functionality. The new Skype. I went ahead and I uninstalled it and installed the older one and kept on using it. And then on one of the machines here, I said, you know what, I'm going to put that because Mike and Nick and everybody else was saying, I don't know, you better get used to it because that's what it's coming to. So I did, and some things didn't work right, and I mentioned it, and Andrew says, Amnon, you need to get the classic. I said, what do you mean the classic? He said, you don't have to get this version that with this kind of API. UI. You have to get the classic one. So I went looking for the classic one. And it is kind of, I wouldn't say hidden, but normally you're on Windows, you just go to Skype.com and you click download Skype. But if you look at that button that says download, it's a blue button, it has a down arrow. And if you click that down arrow, then it has the one for Linux and for Mac and all that. And at the very bottom, it has Skype Classic. And you can download that and install it. And that is the upgraded version, the latest version, but it looks and feel of the old one. You don't need to get into that new look and feel. So if you clicked on Skype, when you see the pop-up that says it's available, do you want to upgrade it? You clicked yes, and suddenly you saw something that was completely sort of like different. You need to, you can uninstall it. It's not going to do away with any of your contacts or anything. You uninstall it. You go to Skype.com and you click the down arrow on the download button and you choose Classic. And then install it. And
I'm doing it right now.
That made all the difference. And what?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know that they are going for that interface for everything from now on. Obviously, they have what they call Classic. Because that new one is, for all practical purposes, on a desktop, it's unusable. It's usable, but it's unproductive. What was it? I couldn't adjust something, and that's when Andrew said, "I don't. You need to stay with the Classic."
Well,
So
some
again,
of the stuff that you think is not there is just hidden.
maybe,
But
yeah.
they did disable the /secondary command line command.
I'm wondering if it's the same with this one now.
Don't know.
With
Haven't
the
tried
Classic.
it.
Yeah, you'll find out. But
I just installed it, and I'll play with it when I get some time.
yeah. So again, thanks, Andrew.
You give him a big head. Please don't do that.
Well, it's okay. He deserves it. Here is something very interesting now. A little-known problem is plaguing many newer vehicles from the likes of Honda, Toyota, and Kia. The car makers used soy-insulated wiring to cut costs and go green. But owners in rural areas are finding the local wildlife finds the wiring irresistible. Thousands of dollars in damage has been done by rats and other critters eating wiring harnesses. Hackaday is asking their community to brainstorm solution to this unique problem, as owners of affected vehicles have had to resort to sprinkling their driveways with coyote urine and putting rat traps on the wheels. I mean, green, soy, I mean, food. What did they think? So if you have, I mean, I remember years and years ago, one of the cars, one of the military trucks, I can't remember, I think it was the Blazer, the wires were eaten up. Now, I don't think it had soy, but it had all kind of stuff on these wires. I mean, they were real thick and brittle. That is a problem. Hey, let's go eat. There are some wires. All right.
All right, got another question. Maybe Spence knows. If anybody else knows, chime in. I was looking at the flyer for Office Depot for today.
Mhm.
This is the second time that I've seen the P-Touch Cube label printer
Yes.
that is accessible from the iPhone. My
Yes.
question is, if you look at the picture, you see it is printing a label, print wirelessly. It shows that it does not have the wasted label before the word print. In other words, it doesn't have that. It
Going
looks like
after
they
the
found a
edge.
way to move the print closer to the end of the tag. Do you know if that's true, or is that just
I've never had the cube. I know that on my TZ tape, it's a really long leader and trailer. So
Yep.
what I do is there is some settings that you can say how much you want to be before and after the print, but I have it on the lowest and it still uses more tape than I like. So what I do is I try to group my printing together. So I've got, like, if I have 5 labels to make, I'll do the first one, then I'll put a couple of spaces, then I'll do the second one, a couple of spaces. So I'm not wasting all this tape. I'm doing one label at a time. But yeah, I don't know about the cube, how much it could be just somebody clipped it with a pair of scissors to make it look better when they took
Yeah,
the picture.
I would take that back if it did that, because that would be deceptive.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's, yeah, I've been intrigued by that because I love the idea of the iPhone,
Right.
because it gives you the WYSIWYG view of what the actual label is going to look like. It problem with using the small printer devices that you're seeing the screen, but it's not really. Well, I take it the one I have actually does give you a view of what it will ultimately look like.
I bought one and I've never even used it. Not the cube, but one of the larger ones.
I have 2. I have the original one with the smaller tape that's really economical to use, but it's a maximum of 2 lines and it has very limited fonts. But I bought one of the new ones also, and I hesitated to use it for a long time because the tapes are so expensive.
Yeah.
And now the prices have come down on the tapes.
Okay, that's good to know.
The old ones, actually, now you can get knockoff tapes that work good, which has really dramatically lowered the prices.
Yeah, these are good little printers. I have I have one of the original battery models.
Yep.
It has a line going down the middle of the print.
Oh, so one of the print heads is messed up. Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know what it could be, clogged. It could be defective. I don't know what it is, but it's annoying.
I think the only way that they're going to be able to get rid of the lead and the tail is if the printing head was right at the exit.
Well, right.
Where
That
you
appears
cut
to
it.
be where it is.
I don't know that that's where it is. Otherwise, it obviously is not there with the current one like we have. It also has like about an inch and a half lead.
Way out there.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, Spence, if you'll research that and let us know, that'd be great.
Well, I'm looking at reviews on the Cube now to see if people comment about the how much tape you need. One comment about it is that the print quality isn't all that great. Seems to be, but that's the ratings on Amazon are 60% 5-star, 17% 4, and then down on the low end 12% 1-star. But so far, I'm seeing cannot print from iMac labels are
Mac, it's a Mac
impossible.
user. Okay. No, take that.
In fact, I don't know how that would be possible. Like one machine would not work and another one would.
It's a Mac.
Mac.
Well, it could be just an older Mac. Who knows?
Well, whatever. I mean, Macs just work, so that idiots are obviously just doing something wrong.
No comments in the negative comments about the label where it starts to print.
So why do they do that? Just to
I'm sorry, I take that back. It says device wastes an enormous amount of label tape by including blank space at the front of every label.
Well, there you go.
If that's true, that could be a Mac user. They may not realize that they are using an old unit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What is the whole? Why do they do that? Do they do that just to make you buy more tape to screw you? Is that the whole point?
I doubt it. I think it's just lazy design. Oh, well, we've got to move it out past the printer to be able to cut it. The printer can't be that close. Everything can't be right at the edge.
Yeah.
That's what I like about the older one, because the cutting blade for the print was in a great location. A new one, it's like I said, if I try to wait and print all my labels at once, so I save all that leader and after tape, just as a rule. Sometimes you can't always do that, but oh well.
No. All right. Anything else anybody wants to add here? Or can we end the show? Nobody has anything?
No.
No. Okay. So good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Donna, Mike, Spence, Nick.
That's okay. I'm not here.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tonight at 7, Nick Craig hosts Against the Norm on Wilmington Big Talker 106.7, and you can listen wherever you are on TuneIn. See you next week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.